Hello, I'm Laura, a woman in my 30s. I've been through divorce and have no children. The reason for my divorce was how my ex-husband dealt with his sister-in-law's family. I'm sharing my story here to express my frustrations and to keep striving towards my dreams. When the issue first arose, my husband and I had been married for a year and a half. We had chosen not to have children. Why? Because I had dreams to pursue, and that required effort and saving money. I thought there'd be time for kids after achieving my dreams. My husband, his father, and his mother all understood and supported me. I grew up in a close-knit family with parents, a sister, and a brother. We always chat and have fun together. On the other hand, my husband's family kept to themselves and didn't interfere much in each other's lives. In fact, we'd only hear from his parents once every 2 months or so for a quick update. When we were dating, he respected my dreams and liked that I was family-oriented. Since his family seemed hands-off, I thought we'd manage well after marriage. But after we got married, my husband began inviting his sister and her kids over constantly. And then one day, my husband David said this: "My sister has 3 boys and it's tough for her. Help her out. Pick up the kids from preschool, make meals, and even give more gifts." Now, if his sister, a housewife, was busy, I could have understood. But her kids were a handful, and I simply didn't have the time since I also work. When I refused, my husband got angry out of nowhere. "You pick up and feed your own sister's kids, don't you? They're both adorable nieces and nephews. Don't be discriminatory." It's true, I did pick up my niece. My sister was hospitalized for a few days because she fell ill at work while pregnant with her second child. My sister's husband couldn't make it to work, so I stepped in. During that time, my mother visited my sister and cleaned the house, while I picked up my niece from preschool and fed her until my brother-in-law could take over. He often came home exhausted, so I'd prepare simple meals, but that was an emergency because my sister was unwell. However, my husband just couldn't grasp this. Honestly, I wasn't keen on my sister-in-law's kids, but I've never treated them differently from my niece during birthdays or Christmas. "You took care of your niece, but you won't take care of your nephew?" Taking care of my niece was different. She's my relative. Maybe you should handle your own sister's kid, especially since you're the one who wants to take this on. "But I work late. Picking up the kid from preschool is out of the question. And let's not even talk about my cooking skills." Having my sister-in-law's kids over was always a handful. My husband couldn't manage them all on his own. It was just too much. They'd run around, grab handfuls of cake, and fights would break out in a snap. Whenever I cooked, they'd complain it was gross and uneatable. Initially, we'd consult with my sister-in-law and her husband about gifts for the kids, buying them secretly. But at one point, she just asked for cash instead. Assuming she had her reasons, we went along, setting a certain amount to give her each time. Turns out, she was pocketing the money, and the kids started calling us stingy. I felt it was bold of her to take the money and still ask for more gifts. I didn't like these kids, who were neither polite nor careful with our things. And the fact that I was expected to be the primary caregiver was frustrating. "You offered to help on your own, so you should take care of it alone. If you were helping with my niece, I would have helped with my nephew. But you never did, right? If you can't handle it, you shouldn't offer. And at the very least, you should consult me." "Why are you so against taking care of them?" "Well, your nephew is a lot more destructive, okay? I don't want any more of my things ruined." "It's different when it's a single niece versus 3 siblings close in age." Our discussion was going nowhere. We needed to cool off, and for my husband to understand my point of view. I packed up and went back to my parents' home. Divorce wasn't on my mind at that point. I was hoping for reconciliation if he could understand where I was coming from. Maybe it's wrong to favor my own blood-related niece, but back when my sister was pregnant with her, I was still single and living at home. She would come by and I'd get to feel her growing belly. I was genuinely happy for her, and I felt different about my nephew. Still, blood shouldn't be the only factor. I tried to treat them equally, but I could no longer tolerate my sister-in-law's audacity and my nephew's demanding nature. When I left, I sent an email suggesting we both take some time to cool off. But it seemed like my husband wasn't fully grasping the situation. "Why are you making such a big deal out of this?" "My sister-in-law is not ill or anything, so why do I have to take over her responsibilities?" I was not fond of my husband's attitude of assuming I'd naturally take over. I didn't reply to the email, but just kept a record of it. I visited my parents' house after a long time and went out for a meal with my parents and my college-aged brother, Daniel. I told them about what had happened and said I might get a divorce. They were understanding. Divorce doesn't affect your dreams, and experiencing it once might not be a bad thing. "Why don't you stay here for a while and focus on your goals?" I don't appreciate the entitlement from him, so why not divorce? Taking my father's advice, I decided to focus on achieving my dreams while staying at my parents' house. A few days later, another email came from my husband. If you don't come home, your precious music box might get destroyed when my sisters visit tomorrow. I had already taken all the stuff I bought myself, as well as gifts from parents, friends, and siblings. He didn't seem to realize that. The only thing left at home is what you gave me. After I replied, he seemed to get anxious and called me for the first time since I left. Your brother came over unannounced, played games when I wasn't home. He wanted me to admit I was wrong and come back. I explained that my brother came because he had free time, and he helped me with the game. It just so happened to be a day my husband was at work. I had paid for the gaming console, and the games were mine too. I hadn't inconvenienced him in any way. I won't return with that attitude. I'm doing just fine, and I don't want to meet your sisters or nephews because I don't like them. With those final words, I hung up the phone on my husband. I consulted my mother-in-law because my husband showed no remorse, only to learn that he and his sister weren't close in the past. Given that she got pregnant and married as a teen, leaving home early, it's kind of expected they didn't get along. Even my mother-in-law had no idea why they'd suddenly become close now. I had all my treasured music boxes with me, and I didn't care about the stuff my husband had given me. Ignoring his emails led to a photo of my broken music box arriving that night. I have all my important things with me. I'm not attached to anything you gave me, I replied. Days passed with no further development. My in-laws grew concerned with our silence and called my emergency cell phone. I explained that I was at my parents' home and told them why. Hearing that my parents-in-law was considering divorce, they made an emergency visit to my parents' house for a discussion. The talk involved parents-in-law, my husband and I, and my parents. It seemed that my husband had been staying over at sister-in-law's house instead of coming home. Sister-in-law, who doesn't do housework or childcare, seemed to find David bothersome and told him to call me and go home. My husband wanted to play the role of a dependable brother to his sister, but instead he felt discouraged by being treated as an annoyance. He told me it was unfair that I live close to my parents' house and get along with my siblings. Seeing you close with your family was painful for me, so I tried to be close with my sister. Even if it makes you uncomfortable, I've been uncomfortable too. Isn't that fair? You get along with your family, and that's not fair. So it's not fair unless my sister also gets treated better. Usually, in-laws on the husband's side get priority, right? But your family doesn't care about me. Your sister's husband is treated well, though. Everyone, including parents-in-law, was taken aback by my husband's logic. I sighed deeply, feeling utterly dismayed. It was clear that any remaining emotional connection I had with him had vanished. Being part of your happy sibling charade is exhausting. You say don't discriminate between nieces and nephews, but I've been trying to treat both the same. But being told not to favor one over the other is unrealistic. I'm human. I have likes and dislikes. To be honest, why should I love a child who's not even blood related and is ill-behaved? They break things, make a mess, are picky eaters, and constantly complain. And your sister only dictates what to feed them without bringing anything they can eat. There's no gratitude for taking care of them. And, like I've told you multiple times, the reason we took care of my sister's husband and niece was that it was an emergency situation. My sister was hospitalized. Your sister is a housewife and perfectly healthy, right? If it's so hard with 3 kids, maybe don't have so many in the first place. The concept that a wife should silently obey her husband and do all the housework is outdated. If you want to say such things, why don't you earn a double income like husbands from a generation ago? We never favored your sister's husband over you. We didn't bully you. Dad even invited you for drinks and to share hobbies, right? You're the one who declined. What does being cherished mean to you? There's a reason we treat you and your sister's husband differently. You know that. We've known him longer, and he was already like family before they got married. Remember I told you about when Dad got sick while I was in college? Your sister's husband was the one who stepped up and supported him. You never have a drink with Dad as an adult. You don't put any effort into family gatherings, always running away. It's okay if you're not comfortable with it. Running away is an option, but don't hold grudges for avoiding things you don't want to do. Is that what being cherished means to you? Is it that you have to be number one in everything? How old are you? It's unbecoming for an adult. Wanting a family that only serves your interests is unrealistic. You're just a child trying to create a world that's convenient for you under the pretense of equality. Also, about that music box, I can't trust someone who uses things to make threats. I don't have the confidence that we can continue as a married couple, so let's part ways. That's when my husband finally realized I was serious about divorce and started making bizarre threats. I looked down on him coldly, thinking that he might still have a chance if he apologized and admitted his mistakes. If you leave me, you'll be unhappy. I have a feeling. I'd rather not spend a lifetime with your feelings. I'd be happier without you. A married couple is one unit. Can you manage if you break off and become half a person? There would be no problem. I'd just go back to how I was before marrying you. We were always two separate individuals. The idea that a couple is one unit only holds when both are helping each other. I can live without your help, and I'd be emotionally and physically better off without you. Are you jealous of my sister? You guys left me alone much more. Hearing that, I burst into laughter. Jealous? Do you think I have that much emotional investment in you? As long as you don't bother me, I don't care what you and your sister do. If you two get along without relying on me, I won't mind. But if you ask me to take care of your nephew or cook, that's a different story. I'm willing to help if your sister is sick, but she's healthy, isn't she? Why should I do what she used to do as a matter of course? If you're going to treat me like a maid, shouldn't there be a salary involved? Isn't it presumptuous to expect me to work without any compensation? I do housework for you because you bring home a salary. I took care of my sister's husband and niece because my sister was in the hospital. Your sister isn't sick or financially dependent on you. If you want to be a reliable brother to her, then take action yourself. Don't involve me in your little facade. It seemed like my husband had been harboring feelings of inferiority towards me and my family for quite some time. He felt that since I made him feel inferior, I deserved to suffer or feel bad, as if that was only fair. I continually rejected that mindset. As a result, I secured my husband's agreement for divorce. You don't value my family, and you don't listen to me. I don't need a wife like that. Take all the savings. Take whatever you want. He signed the divorce papers, and we were officially separated. But that wasn't the end of it. My sister safely gave birth to her second child, a baby boy. As I was busy preparing to live alone, my ex-husband unexpectedly showed up at my family's home. Out of nowhere, he blurted, "I have a favor to ask. I tried inviting my sister over because I felt lonely, but she refused because I can't cook. So I've been ordering delivery, but I'm running out of money. We used to split living expenses, but now I have to cover everything myself, and I can't make ends meet. If I stop ordering food, my sister won't come over anymore. So can you help me out financially each month? We could get back together, you know." When he showed up asking for money instead of apologizing, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. What's the advantage for me to get back with you? I actually have more spending money now. I don't want to see your face ever again. If you show up again, I'm calling my lawyer. I had my dad and brother, who had come out just in time, send him away. Although he hasn't visited since, he still sends emails regularly. The more I read his incessant demands for money, the more I realized how poor my judgment of character was. I've been ignoring his emails, and eventually they stopped coming. Rumor has it he's drowning in debt and has gone on the run. I can't say for sure if that's true, but it seems he's definitely struggling financially. I have no lingering feelings for him, so as long as it doesn't ruin my peace of mind, that's fine by me. Right now, I'm living fulfilling days, playing with my family and chasing my dreams while working. Seeing my sister and her husband, it's clear that marriage can bring happiness, but I think there's also value in pursuing happiness that isn't tied to marriage. I might meet someone and remarry someday, or I might continue to chase my dreams and spend my days with my family. Either way, I want to live my life my way, seeking the kind of happiness that suits me, instead of conforming to society's general definition of happiness.